Hello again, this is Bill Warner. We're now in week 2, and this is the guts of week 2, the conceptualization module. This is where you're going to figure out whether or not you've got any market value whatsoever in the business idea that you expressed in the ideation work that you did in the last session. As a reminder, in this sequence of 6 steps we've been talking about, you're in step 2, conceptualization. On your way to the 3rd and 4th step, through all of these first 4 steps, you're actually creating a plan for your business. So in this module on conceptualization, there is a lot of work to be done. A lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of analysis that you're going to have to do. This is going to take you a lot of time, many hours, so get ready for a lot of work. The first thing you're going to try to get your hands around is, what is the market all about for this problem that you think you're going to solve? You're going to, in a quantifiable way, express the market demand that exists out there. You're going to cover the trends and the major drivers of the market. What caused this market to exist in the first place, for God's sakes? And you're going to try to figure out the total market size expressed in revenue over a period of time, demonstrating that it grows, hopefully. You want a growing market. And it's the market that you think you can address, knowing that you won't probably address it all because it's just too big. Even Apple doesn't have the whole market for cell phones. But you want to take some substantial part of it eventually. And then you got to isolate in on the market segment that your company is really focused on. So it's a drill down of a total addressable market down into one, and I mean literally one market segment you're going to attack. And within that market, you're going to identify the kinds of individuals that are going to be buying your product. They're going to be the decision maker. And these are the people you're going to interview and learn about their perspective, the problem you solve, and the solution that you think you're going to provide to them, and whether or not they think it does, and whether or not they're going to be willing to buy it. Then you're going to figure out, how do they learn about products so you later can make them aware through those kind of marketing channels. You're going to learn their buying preferences by asking them what they are. Do they buy through wholesalers? Do they buy through value-added remarketers? Do they buy direct from manufacturing reps, or what? You're going to figure all of that out by asking them lots of questions. You're going to know these buyers as good as you know your best friend. Then you're going to determine, after these interviews, what are the requirements that these buyers have for the products and services you think you're going to provide to them that solve the problem that you think they have. This is all about them, not you. And then you're going to figure out and describe how you're going to deliver this product and how you're going to support it, basically addressing the needs of these buyers in the long run, once they've bought it and installed it. That is a big lunchbox full of information about the buyer within the market that you're going to attack. This sets the foundation for your entire business and what your business is all about. And it's going to help you make decisions as time goes on as to whether or not things that represent demands of your time and money, as whether or not they're going to help you sell to these buyers and satisfy their needs. I've often used this to draw a picture of the market. I call it the market landscape. Some people call it the market ecosystem. Whatever you call it, it's a reflection of what's going on in the market segment that you're trying to address. Certainly you're in it. You're developing a product, you're manufacturing, or maybe manufacturing through others. You're selling through various kinds of channels. You're going to pick the ones that are most appropriate for you. And ultimately, your customer buys your product. But along the way, you have alliance partners and suppliers, support and repair organizations, perhaps, technology partners, various sundry manufacturing wholesaler reps, distributors, integrators, remarketers, and the list goes on. Retail outlets, if you're into that kind of game, You've got to be describing who these players are that are relevant to your market, not just kind of everybody else. It's your market. You've got to figure out who influences the buyer and the decisions they make about buying products. You're going to have to figure out what the value proposition should be and what the prices should be, and how you incentivize the various players within this market. And you connect these people up with arrows that basically represent the way money flows in this ecosystem. It's a picture of the landscape and how it works. And in one picture, if you do it well, in one picture you could describe your whole market from beginning to end, and in a matter of minutes. Then in the context of that ecosystem I just explained to you, you have a supply chain. Supply chain just isn't for parts, for products. It's all of what is necessary to have set up so that your product and or service is properly delivered to your buyer. So you need to understand the requirements for this supply chain that's necessary to support your business. So certainly it starts with materials and parts and who's going to manufacture them, how the warehousing and distribution and customer support is going to work, and who's going to do all that kind of stuff. For services that are supplied by others, who are those providers? What do they provide that adds value to your services and products? And how will this supply chain be implemented? So it's an adjunct to the picture of your industry landscape. And you should go on to identify the possible sources of these supply chain suppliers. You're not talking to them yet, but you're expressing the fact that you know that you need these suppliers, and that you know kind of where they are and what they're able to provide, so that you'll be going after them once you start implementing your business. So then you're going to get into describing the competition, and starting with the uniqueness of what you're providing. Your solution's got to be unique in some way in order to stand out from the competition. And here's some questions you might ask, like, who else has tried to pursue this opportunity or solve this problem? And why did they succeed or fail? Has anyone pursued the whole opportunity that you see? And have they succeeded at it? And what did you learn from their attempt? What's lacking, very importantly, what's lacking in other solutions that others are providing that solve the same problem as you? What they're lacking, you're going to assess as weaknesses on their part, and that's going to spell how perhaps you're going to beat them. What's different about your approach than theirs? Hopefully your approach is superior in some way. Well, how so? So what's better about your approach? And express it quantitatively. It saves time or money or something that has a significant value to the buyer. But when you get down to it, your approach is going to have to be practical for your customer to implement. Show how it is. So there's a few questions, and there are many more you're going to come up with, but I've tried to get you to understand that you really got to understand the competition in depth. Furthering the task of competitive analysis, you should be doing what I mentioned earlier, a SWOT analysis: strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and threats. But what are the threats that they represent? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Given all of that, what's your analysis of how you're going to beat them? Write a paragraph on that subject alone. Founded in your analysis of how they play in your market, solving the same problem as you and how they do it. Therein lies your competitive advantage. As you analyze your competitors, what do you know about their marketing messages? You'll find out about them probably on their website or their marketing material or their social media outreach. Learn about them. Figure out what they're saying. What do you know about their business model? Who are their suppliers? How do they sell? What are their main marketing messages, as I just mentioned? Where do they operate? What locations? What's their pricing strategy? And that's just 5 or 6 different questions you might be wanting to ask about them, but you need to know these things, at least for the top 2 or 3 competitors, the main ones that you're going to have to beat. Know this stuff. Then the subject of marketing has to be explained. Marketing to me is a lot of things, but the main thing is how to generate qualified leads that you sell to. So what are the main marketing channels? And what I mean by that is, through what means do you create awareness in the eyes of your buyer? And that could be a lot of different things. It could be social media, email campaigns, and cold calling, referrals, a website that's search engine optimized, Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, my God, the list goes on. How do you reach these people? And the way you figure out what the right one is you, by golly, ask them. When you talk to the buyer way back when you did your market research, market survey, you asked them, how do they learn about products that they need? And now you're going to play to a marketing channel that delivers your main marketing messages to them in the right way, the way they want it. Remember that, the way they want it, not the way you want it, or the way you know how to do it. So how will you do that? And what are the messages you're going to deliver? And their messages are fancy marketing lingo for what the heck do you say that brings out the value and gains the interest of the buyer through whatever this marketing channel is. And what are the benefits that your customer are going to achieve? These are hard-hitting 5 to 7 word messages. There's 4, 5, 6 of them. Probably appear on your homepage and every other marketing channel you're going to go through. So this is how you will generate qualified leads. You'll have a qualification criteria that you'll establish. And if they pass that criteria, that means they're ready to buy from you. You go after and sell them. But first is, you got to find them in the first place and make sure they're qualified buyers. So once you've figured out how to get a qualified lead, now you're going to sell to them. So what are your main sales channels? Are you a B2C kind of company, business to consumer? Are you business to business, where you're selling to other businesses? What are you? And whatever it is you are, you need to figure out the right sales channel to go through. You could be going through, if you're a product company, you may be going through distributors. You may be selling direct online. You may be selling direct through value-added resellers. Who knows? Whatever it is, if it's an online service, you may be selling through direct salespeople. Whatever it is, you've got to figure it out and figure out, if you have a distribution challenge, what the distribution channels are and how you're going to price this depending on what the channel is and what it demands in terms of profit themselves. So what's your sales process and what's the cycle time is something you're going to have to describe, because it's kind of important to know what your own productivity is going to be when you sell whatever it is you're selling. How many sales are you going to make per erg of energy of salespeople? So that's a very swift overview of what you're going to have to figure out in sales. Then comes the very important task of forecasting your business, a financial forecast. So it's a creation of a revenue model with some detail about the acquisition of sales based on the productivity of marketing and sales campaigns. So what do you then expect the revenue growth to be based upon the resource you're going to put on sales and marketing? After factoring in the cost of the goods that you're selling or the cost of the service you're providing, you'll determine what the gross profit is of coming off the revenue stream. And then you'll have a budget. Figure out the operating expenses, add all that up, subtract it from your gross profit, and you'll have a rough estimate of the net profit of your company before tax. This could be done over a 2 to 3 year period, month by month, so you can see the financial dynamics of your business with lots of reasonable assumptions made by you, validated through discussions with experts. A lot of work. It's a pretty complex Excel spreadsheet, but when you step back and look at all, it really is not that hard to do. It's not much more than 6th grade arithmetic. Almost every business I know of is going to need some amount of money to get it up and running. My partner thinks for services business, 25 to 30,000, maybe 50, up to 50 to get started. If it's a product company, you may be in 100,000 range because you're going to do prototypes. Well, whatever it is, you'll have to figure it out. Will you be able to bootstrap it? That is, pay for it out of your own pocket or pockets of your partners that are in the business with you. Then what else, given you have a deficit from that, you still need more money, what type of outside funds will you need? And it will depend on what you're going to use the funds for. So how much will you need? When do you need it? Your financing forecast would have told you that, basically by reading the net out cash flow statement. In those months where you're below water, you need to shore it up with some money. That's kind of determining when you need the money. Then who are the possible sources, whether they're debt financing or equity-based financing, friends and family, whatever it might be. And then how will you attract the needed capital? And what kind of plan are you going to put in place in order to go get it? It's a long process, sometimes frustrating, but you got to figure it out because you're probably going to need some money to get this business up and running. So once you've gotten through the guts of week 2 and this conceptualization work that you're doing, you come to a point where you're going to decide, is this business a go or a no-go based upon your now established view of the market. So does it pass a feasibility test? You're going to ask yourself some personal questions. Does it meet your personal criteria? I mean, it's going to come down, does your gut say, I like this, I want to go for it? If you're not feeling that way, that's a gut check. Is this idea really something that compels you? If it doesn't, rethink it. And do you think that you have what it takes to actually do it? Ask some other people what they think, particularly those that are most close to you. Other decisions are, should you proceed with this business or not? Or should I modify my current business concept because I've discovered some weaknesses? They may be competitive weaknesses. They may be the market's too small, or it's not growing fast enough, or the buyers don't really have the problem that I thought they had after I did the analysis. And you may want to restart and go after a different problem even. So this is a chance for you to complete this go, no-go assessment and make an intelligent decision to continue with this same business idea that you started with. Okay, the next steps are for the next class and your mentoring session, be ready to discuss your idea summary template and the decision question template that goes with it. Be prepared also to present your elevator pitch. We may be calling on you to present to the rest of the class. And you'll be doing that many times over the 10 weeks that you're with us. For the next session, a lot of work. As I said earlier, a lot of work. Complete the business concept template, the business concept feasibility test resultant from that. Complete your personal vision statement template and let us know what the vision is you have for your business. Provide this all to your mentor for review and comments. Don't hesitate to talk to your instructor and ask questions if you're held up in any way. Get immediate help. That's what your instructor is there for. So be ready to discuss that in your next mentoring session as well, and update your elevator pitch for the following week. You may be called upon the following week as well. You never know. Okay, that's the end of this module. Now, if you have questions, go ahead and contact your instructor, mentor, and your choices for doing that are, you can email your instructor at innovationcenter@faytech.edu. You can make a call at 910-678 888-8496. And you can schedule a meeting with your mentor in the virtual office on Blackboard. You can also post a question on Question for My Mentor discussion forum and have others participating in the answer to the question. It's a good way of sharing information amongst participants. But please note that you should not post a question that is divulging confidential information. That would open up that confidential information to others to read. So be forewarned there. So that's it. Get your homework done. Look forward to talking to you in the next class.